Hey everyone, so it looks like my old Baumgar Corporation, which is now Beyond Trust, 401k is going to roll into Bitcoin. So I want to walk you through how that happened. So I posted a video a day or two back and basically said, hey, I've got some old gold that is a pain to get liquidity on. I've got an old 401k way back, and I've got about 4% of my liquid assets that are not in Bitcoin, and I could pull from one of those four, and I'm tempted to do that at current prices of just under $58,000. So my good friend Lee posted a response to my video and said, hey, you can roll over a 401k to an IRA. And anyway, I figured it was a big pain. I had never done that before, never bothered to try to figure out how to do that before. Anyway, so I thought after Lee posted that, I was like, I am going to go figure this out. Maybe it's not as hard as I thought. So first of all, I have the Fidelity app on my phone. And so I looked in the Fidelity app, but that's not where the 401k stuff. So I got the Net Benefits app, which is Net Benefits is like the Fidelity app for managing 401ks and stuff. So I got the Net Benefits app, logged in. It had been a while since I had logged in. The app's been on my phone for a few years, but it had been a while since I had logged in. And it turns out there's more money in that old 401k than I thought. So the last time I checked it was, I don't know, a couple years ago or a year or two back or whatever. And the stock market's been on a, relative tear, largely due to leftover money printing from COVID. But anyway, the stock market has been on a tear, and therefore the amount of money in that old 401k was more than I thought. So I thought, okay, I'm looking for, nice to find out that there was more in there than I remember. And two, I was like, okay, I'm looking for a rollover option. So I went through the options on the Fidelity app, and then I went through the options on the Net Benefits app. And it turns out on the Net Benefits app, in the profile, it's either the profile or settings page or somewhere, it has a rollover function. And then it walks you through everything. It says, hey, you have 4 options for a rollover. You can roll your old employer 401k to your new employer 401k, or you can roll it to an IRA, or you can remove the money entirely and pay tax penalties, which I don't want to do. Or there was like a fourth one that I can't remember. But anyway, it was super clear, and it walked through the 4 options, and I was like, yes, this is what I want to do. And they're like, okay, if you want to roll it over, if you want to roll this old 401k over, and you're not rolling it into a new 401k, which I don't have a new 401k to roll it into, and I wouldn't roll it even if I did, because, unless the new 401k allowed the purchase of Bitcoin. So I'm like, okay, clearly the only option that applies in my situation is I want to buy Bitcoin, and I don't have a new 401k to roll this into that would allow me to buy Bitcoin. So I clearly want to roll this old 401k into an IRA. So it was very clear from the options that there's only one blatantly obvious option for what I need to do. So I did that. And then it said, okay, do you want to do this to an IRA somewhere else or at Fidelity? Of course, I love Fidelity, and we are already with Fidelity for Baumgar Corporation, which is now Beyond Trust. So they make it super easy. They're like, hey, the easiest thing, of course, is to roll this to a Fidelity IRA, because it's one click of the button, which of course is what I want to do, because I know Fidelity IRAs are going to allow me to buy Bitcoin. Most IRAs will allow you to buy Bitcoin if they're self-directed, meaning you control them rather than your employer. So it's super simple. It's like 2 buttons. It's like push on, and I posted this to Facebook a few minutes ago, like you select a rollover, and then it asks you, how you want to do that. And you click, I want to roll it over to an IRA. And it says, hey, do you want it to be a Fidelity IRA or another IRA? And if you want another one, you got to call us. But if you want a Fidelity IRA, you just push this button. And so I push the button, and then it says, great, if you confirm this, then we will roll over the entirety of the 401k funds to a Fidelity IRA. You'll be able to manage them I'm not sure if it's in the Net Benefits app by Fidelity or the Fidelity native app, but one of those 2 apps, the IRA has already shown up. I can't remember which one. As soon as you say, I want to roll it over, it creates a new account. It verifies your information, makes sure your name, address, and street address are all still accurate. You click yes, and it says, boom, I've created a Fidelity IRA for you. And in, 2 business days, this new Fidelity IRA will be fully funded with the money from this old 401k. And because the old 401k was on some sort of a money, a targeted investment amount account, I forget what it was, they said, hey, this investment vehicle is not available in the new 401k, so you're going to have to decide how to invest it. And of course, I already know how to invest it. So as soon as it rolls over, my plan is to buy FBTC, which is the Fidelity Wise Origin Bitcoin Trust, which is the one and only Fidelity Bitcoin ETF. The 2 big ones right now are the Fidelity Bitcoin ETF and the BlackRock, IBIT, is the BlackRock Bitcoin Trust, IBIT, and Fidelity is FBTC, as in Fidelity, BTC as in BITCOIN, the first three continents, BTC, FBTC. So anyway, so as soon as that money hits, my plan is to roll 100% of that old 401k into Bitcoin. I still need to confirm with Rachel that she feels good about that. So anyway, that'll be the process, but I'm moving it to the IRA regardless. So depending on what percentage Rachel is comfortable with of that amount, I'm guessing it's, somewhere between 25% and 100% of that old 401k. And Rachel has some assets she manages herself, and that she doesn't keep in Bitcoin, which also gives us some diversification. So, but this will get me a lot closer to the assets I manage, including this old 401k being as close to 100% Bitcoin as possible. So I wanted to walk you, as the second part of this video, through the psychology. So I'm thinking, this old 401k has been hanging out there, and I'm thinking, it's kind of a nice safety net. It's a pain to mess with. It's not liquid. It's probably a pain to roll over. So as soon as I figure out I can roll over, it's, 80% positive. I'm like, ooh, I have another source of US dollars, or other assets in this case, that I can dump and buy more Bitcoin. But about 20% is also the anxiety of, wow, I already own a lot of Bitcoin. Is it really responsible to buy even more Bitcoin when my total Bitcoin exposure is massive, massive, massive compared to all other assets combined? So it's about 80% excited to buy more Bitcoin, and about 20%, some anxiety of like, wow, is it really responsible to roll the entire 401k over to Bitcoin? Should I roll a quarter of it, or half of it, or 3/4 of it? Those thoughts lasted for, a very brief time, somewhere between seconds and minutes. And I thought, yeah, it really makes the most sense to roll all of it. And so here's my thought process on that. One, I'm 44 years old. I have the ability to make money, and I'm not planning on retiring early or anything like that. Not because, I like working. I like being productive in the world. I like changing the world. I like, the thrill of making things happen. So it's not like I'm trying to find a beach somewhere to, sit on and drink pina coladas. And then I think of what are the hills really worth dying on? Like, what are the things in my life that I'm so committed to that I'm willing to really, really, really go out on a limb on? And so a few of those are, one, God and my family. So if I had to make risk-based decisions that involve serving God more effectively or serving my family more effectively, I would do that, even if it resulted potentially in me doing way more hard work or having to work way more of my life than I anticipated. If it involved the service to God or the service to my family, I would do that. Okay, so beyond sort of God and my family at the sort of 100-point index, what else do I deeply care about that I'm willing to make major sacrifices for? And it's probably three things. One, Prospera, where I am president. The idea of governance without central coercive monopoly government. And the idea of bringing free market principles to human governance itself. I've gone way out on a limb on that. I am deeply invested in that in illiquid assets, and I have dedicated a big chunk of my life to starting a truly free society, in our case under the Honduran Zede framework. So it's like, am I willing to really potentially go through huge amounts of hardship to see the realization and actualization of a free society in the world that is not constrained by the complete dysfunction of the world we live in? Yes, I'm willing to do that. Second, drug policy reform. I am, in favor of advancing liberty and freedom in numerous aspects, including my strong advocacy in favor of the medical marijuana program in Mississippi, and a lot of work I did related to drug policy reform in the Mississippi legislature and otherwise. And so I'm like, am I willing to work a lot of extra hours? Am I willing to go through hardship to advance drug policy reform? And the answer is yes. And the third is Bitcoin. Like, am I willing to go so far out on a limb for Bitcoin that I'm really, really, really out on a limb? As in, I'm willing to make choices that potentially involve me working many years beyond when I would otherwise be able to retire, or having to work a lot harder. And the answer is yes. There's not a huge number of things that I'm willing to really go out on a limb on, and that I deeply believe in, because I've spent just thousands and thousands and thousands of hours researching and studying and reading all of the content related to, opposition to my position. So on all of those issues, on free societies, on drug policy reform, on Bitcoin, on each of those issues, I've spent many thousands of hours reading not only everything there is to know about the topic, but everything that's ever been written against the topic as an effort to double check and proof my own premises to make sure I'm not wrong. Because obviously, if I'm going to dedicate my life to starting a free society or advancing drug policy reform or advancing Bitcoin, then obviously I really may need to make sure I am not wrong on any of those things. And obviously there's numerous other things I have an opinion on, but they're things that I have an opinion on that I've not spent any money on, I've not spent any time on. So sure, I got an opinion, but if I'm wrong, who cares? It doesn't cost me anything. For the big things that I've dedicated huge parts of my life to, in my early career, the ability to remote connect to and fix computer problems over the internet with Baumgar Corporation. I'm absolutely certain that technology has made the world infinitely better. And, there's no doubt in my mind that is true. And I dedicated 11 years of my life to that. And I've dedicated many years of my life to these other things. So anyway, so in summary, my plan, tentatively, is to dump the entirety of that 401k in. Again, is there a slight amount of anxiety when you hit the buy button for a substantial amount of money that is going to, disappear into the world of Bitcoin, and what I will have to show is more Bitcoin? Yes, there's a slight amount of anxiety with that, and that's common for everyone. And of course, there's the slight amount of anxiety that comes with what if it crashes right after I buy? Look, you can't time the market, and I've completely come to peace with the fact that you can't time the market. And I've come to peace with the fact that there are things that I deeply believe in, and that I so deeply believe in, I'm willing to go way out on a limb for. And Bitcoin is one of those things. So that's my tentative plan, is as soon as this thing hits, as soon as this IRA clears and the IRA reflects the assets that roll over from the 401k, that I will immediately, as fast as conceivably possible, and regardless of the price of Bitcoin, buy as many shares of FBTC, which is the Fidelity Bitcoin ETF. I will basically max out all of the money that's in that rollover, 401k rollover to the Fidelity IRA. I will use the entire proceeds to buy as much Bitcoin as I possibly can at whatever the price happens to be. And when I do that, I will post a video and I'll tell you exactly what price I bought it at. And anyway, so that's the summary. The summary is I'm deeply committed. My plan is all in. And, that's the highlights of how I'm thinking, what it feels like, where I am, and what the process was to get it to happen. As always, hopefully a window into my own thought process is helpful on your own Bitcoin journey. And again, thanks to my friend Lee for posting a comment that helped prompt me to explore the rollover option, which I did not realize was going to be so easy. In truth, it's miraculously easy. So thank you, Lee. Very much appreciated. So everyone have a great day. Thanks.